Dr. Stephen Strange, the master of mystical arts and the sorcerer supreme. This is one wizard that could overpower even the strongest members of the MCU. But how did an ordinary surgeon come to wield the Time Stone? Where did he get his training, and what feats is he really capable of achieving? You know, when he's not holding back. All those questions are going to be answered, so sit back, grab a drink, and let's
do this crap.
In the MCU, we come across a lot of superheroes who have inhuman strength, heightened reflexes, and even power over the skies. But there is one very important superpower that many of the characters have in common: knowing stuff. But one hero in particular has made it his mission to know as much as he possibly can about what happens in the multiverse. So much so, in fact, that other heroes will usually turn up at his door when they need help. That man is, of course, Doctor Strange. The title given to him isn't honorary either. He was an accomplished surgeon that got into a tragic car accident that rendered him unable to perform surgery. Of course, determined as he was, he travelled across half the world to look for a way to undo the damage. He sought the Kamar-Taj at the behest of Jonathan Pangborn. This brought him under the tutelage of the mystical Ancient One, where he rose up the ranks of the masters of the mystic arts, with a little help from his eidetic memory. Oh geez, I wonder who else has an eidetic memory. From then on, he helped to keep reality in check using his magic and took on the likes of Casillas and his master Dormammu. But is that the true extent of his power? We saw that in his fight against the Thanos on Titan. He was really pushing Thanos to his breaking point, leaving him no choice but to combine the powers of multiple Infinity Stones in combination to keep him at bay. Just to put that into perspective, Thanos had never used the gauntlet and the stones to that extent against any other adversary. But when it comes to Strange, he had to fire on all cylinders. During their fight, Strange was able to restrain him momentarily using the Crimson Bands of Cyttorak. He holds him long enough for his team to kick in. After Thanos escapes from Mantis's mind control, however, Strange is pitted against the Mad Titan one-on-one. It pits all of Strange's powers against the full power of Thanos. Strange uses the images of icon spells to create multiple copies of himself and surrounds Thanos. All the doppelgangers then use the Eldritch Whip to restrain Thanos. Of course, Thanos counters this with the powers of Stone and the Soul Stone to break free and arrange all of Strange's lookalikes. Quite possibly his biggest feat was later in the battle, when he shielded himself from a blast of Thanos' Power Stone using one of his most powerful weapons, his Mirror Dimension. To understand how impressive that is, you have to realize that the Soul Stone is capable of destroying an entire planet in a single blast, but the Mirror Dimension took every inch of that impact and left Strange unscathed. Thanos is a very powerful character in the MCU, having bested the Hulk and even Thor in Endgame, when he didn't have the stones. So, for Strange to nearly beat the Mad Titan at the peak of his power is really saying something. There's more to Strange than his spells, and a lot of his feats of physical strength come from his wide arsenal of weapons and tools he can use during combat. From the Eldritch magic he learned, he can manifest a wide range of weapons, from whips to swords to shields. When he's on the offensive, he can create the bolts of Baltak. These are impulses of electrical discharge that can melt any object that comes into contact with them. A few other powers he displayed in a limited capacity in the movies is his ability to translate objects, like he did when Thor arrived at the Sanctum Sanctorium. He transmuted the cup of tea in his hand with a glass of beer. He is known to frequently trap his foes in mirror dimensions. This is an alternate dimension where the sorcerer can practice his spells without influencing the real world. This is what happened when he needed the Machine de Cadavus from Peter in No Way Home. He threw Peter in the mirror dimension so that he could play by his own rules and get the device back. Yeah, that didn't go so well. Strange is also a master tracker and, with a simple spell, was able to locate Odin for Thor. This also gave Spider-Man a hand when he was tracking the villains that had come into his universe. We can see the true extent of the Sorcerer's supreme power when he made the entire world forget the real identity of Peter Parker. This in itself was no small feat. He had not only to wipe the memories of everyone that had ever come into contact with Peter, but also had to remove every trace of him from the world. This made it so that no one could associate anything with Peter Parker: his name, his work, every text that he might have sent out to Ned or MJ, and even his possessions. Now, if wiping an entire population's memory wasn't enough, he had warped reality in such a way that not even a shard of Peter's identity was left. Now that is impressive. So, in a world in which people are regularly using advanced scientific technologies to create superhumans, where Norse gods dine and feast with Greek gods, and where a bunch of intergalactic aliens serve as cosmic vigilantes, it is kind of up to Doctor Strange to make sure that the delicate balance of reality is not disturbed. But, you know. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, and for more content like this, subscribe to KRTV.